Hi, today I want to show you how to crochet a cardigan for a newborn with raglan sleeves, and the pattern of course is on my website. Let's do this! For this project we are going to use a crochet needle that is 2mm, that is a size B I believe. We're going to use some stitch markers. Please do not skip this step, it will really make a difference. And of course we need some yarn that goes with the hook. You can use yarn for 3mm hook if you want to. I think this is actually for 3, but it's very on the small side of the 3mm. So this is the little sweater that we want to create. It has these buttonhole thingies and a thread sticking out, which I will handle a little later. I'm sorry, that was really unprofessional of me to leave that there. But it just has these little buttonholes and little buttons, and then it has the raglan sleeves. When I say raglan, what I mean is that the neckline is sort of square-ish, and I have 4 points at which I have a little sort of seam, or I have a row of holes, which is the raglan increases. So I will show you how to create those. That is, this part is the increase part, and the rest is just really simple. We make the beginning here, and then we just go around and around and around the body and around the sleeves. And then of course I have a little ribbing here that I want to show you in the end, and I also have it on the edge down here. So yeah, this is a newborn size, and let's begin. The first thing we need to do is to do a long chain, and we are starting, did I say that? We start at the neckline. So we start at the top of the raglan increases and then we go out. So make a slip knot by putting the yarn around your fingers like this, and then putting the end of your thread in here and pulling it up. Now we have your first loop that you can put on your hook, and then we can chain, and we need to chain 64. What I do is I chain 10, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then I have a little row counter, and I just go, that was 10. And I do that every 10 stitches until the 60, because I want to, if I get, distracted, or if something happens, or the camera shuts off or something, I just want to know where I am. Sorry. 9 and 10 again. So that way I don't have to go back and then count all of the chains to be sure. So we got 30. 40. Oh. 50. 60. And then I just need 4. So just go 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now I have the neckline, and just to compare with the sweater, what I have here is what has to go around this part. So the ends here are going to end up as the front of the cardigan, and the long piece is going to end up as the back and the sleeves. I hope that makes a little sense. So this is the one row of all of this that is the most important. This will be our setup row, and if you do it correctly, the rest will be really easy. If you do it incorrectly, it will be crooked. So, but it's not difficult, so it's not a problem as such. So you chain your thing here, and then you turn and you hold the last stitch here. So the last stitch is not the one on your hook. This is your live stitch, if you will. And the one behind it is the last stitch on the chain. And then you chain 2, and then you go into the last stitch on the previous row, which is the chain, and you do a half double crochet. And then you do 1 half double crochet in the next 6. So you will have, in the first 7 stitches, you will have 1 half double crochet. So that was 2, 3, and 4, and 5, 6, and 7. So this is actually the first, like the one, not the lapel, but what the lapel is sitting on, the front edge. And I grab myself a stitch marker. So in the next stitch, we need to do a raglan increase. So I go into the stitch and I do 3 half double crochet. So 1, 2, and 3. So when I look at it, I now have 3 little V's on top of each other. That are my stitches for my increase, and in the second one, so the one on the hook doesn't count. This is the last stitch, this is the middle, and this is the first. And into the middle stitch, I want to place my stitch marker. Okay? So the important thing here is that the stitch marker is placed in the correct place. So what you could do is you could do 2, place it, and then do the third. Then you would be absolutely sure that you had taken the correct one. So now we are going to do a half double crochet in the next 15 stitches. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, whoops, 6. This is really slow because it's in the chain. It's just so difficult. 7, 8, 15. Okay. So now I've made the 15. This is going to be the first sleeve. And in the 16th stitch, I will again do a raglan increase. So I'll do 2 half double crochet. In the same stitch, I will place a, so here again I have the one on my hook, and then the one before that is the one I had just finished. I will place a stitch marker in that. And then I will go back into the stitch and make the third. So now I've increased 2 stitches, because 1 stitch is replacing the one on the previous, and then the 2 extra stitches are increased by 2. So there's 1 stitch increase on this side, and there's 1 stitch increase on the other side. That's what it's going to be, at least. It's going to be sort of an expanding V shape, if you will. Now we're going to do the same thing again. So 15 half double crochet, and then a increase in the 16th stitch. So 2, 14, and 15. No, I split the yarn. 15. Here we go. Okay, so in the next stitch again, I am going to do an increase. So that is 1 half double crochet. This 2 half double crochet in the same. Then I'm going to take my stitch marker, place it. I now know that that's going to be my middle stitch. And then on the other side, I'm going to do another half double crochet to finish the increase. Again, I'm going to do 15 half double crochet and then an increase. So now I'm at the point again where I have made 15 and I need to increase in the next stitch. So I'm going to go into the next here, do 2 half double crochet, place my stitch marker. Then I'm going to do the third half double crochet in the same stitch, and then I am going to do 7 half double crochet. 7, 2. This yarn is really nice, but it also splits really easily. And unfortunately, I think it's just a sort of a quirk of this type of yarn. It's 100% merino, so it's really sort of it's really shiny and it's really soft, and that makes it difficult to work with. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So now to move on, I am going to show you the one row that you need to remember for all of the rest of the of the top of the sweater anyway, just of the sort of yoke part, I think it's called. Yokey, I'm not completely sure. This is a problem with having learned English mainly from reading. You make up your own way of saying stuff. So what we have made now is this neckline. So that's that. And then I don't want to lose this stitch. Every time we have a stitch marker, we have the beginning of one of these. So, as I said, these parts are going to be the front. Between the 2 blue here, I'm going to have a sleeve. The long piece is going to be the back, and then the part between the 2 salmon-colored orange things are going to be the other sleeve. So if you want to measure whether or not you have the neckline that you think you might need, you can just do this and put it on top of some clothing that you have, or on top of the baby that is going to be wearing it. I can also just measure it for you, so you can, if you want to do it exactly as the same size as mine. Here we go. So, inches. I have so on the back here, I have 2.5 inches. And on the front, I have 1.5 inch. So, that doesn't make sense. I hope that helps. Just, if you want it bigger, of course you would make it longer. And I will try and see. Well, the pattern will probably have a couple of different sizes for you. So that is not just a guessing game for you. Okay, so the row that we need to repeat 14 times, or this is the first, and then we need to repeat it so that we have 14 of these rows, is this. You turn the work, and work back, chain 2 to begin, and then you are going to do 1 half double crochet until the first stitch marker. And I'm sorry, by the way, if you can hear my dog chewing in the background. I tried to get him to go somewhere else, but right by my feet is apparently the only spot that is that is good enough for eating. So here I have the first stitch, the first stitch marker. And into the stitch that is being held by the stitch marker, I am now going to do two half double crochet. 1 and 2. Then I will grab my stitch marker and put it in the second. So it's very similar to the row below, but the setup of the row below is going to determine this row. Now I am going to do another half double crochet into the same stitch, so that I now have 3. So I have increased by 2. Then I am going to do 1 half double crochet in each stitch until I get to the other stitch marker. And if you want to count, you will now have 2 more, so that should be 18 in between the 2 stitch markers. So here we are at the second stitch marker, and we're going to do exactly the same. So we're just going to do 2 half double crochet into the stitch that is being held by the stitch marker. So here we are. Then we will take the stitch marker, put it in the second here, like that, and then we will do the third into the same stitch, and then we get this is the beginning of our row of holes, and then we will continue on, do the same for the next one and for the last one. So I'll just crochet until the next one. So now I'm at the next stitch marker, and I'll just show you again. Go into the stitch that is being held, and I am just replacing it with 2 stitches. Then I am moving the stitch marker, and then I'm doing the third into the same stitch, and then I can move on to the regular stitches, if you will. Most of this cardigan is made with half double crochets. We have a little bit of, when we get to do the buttonholes, there will be some single crochet and some more chains, but otherwise it's mostly half double crochet. Now you can do the raglan increases in different ways. You can do them so that the holes get bigger. You can even do them so that the holes create little patterns, but this is I think this is the way that I found that makes the smallest amount of holes. Of course, you get the fabric that sort of radiates out. You'll always get that in the raglan, but you can definitely use other increases and get different results. I like this for children because it's actually, because it makes the least amount of holes. So here I am again. And that was the last increase. And I'll just do half double crochets until the end here. And I have a little cheat actually. I did already crochet this part so that we can skip right to the next step. So you will continue this until for a newborn you would continue it until you have 14. So that would be 12 more rounds or rows. Or if you have a different size, of course you would continue in a different amount. You would continue a different amount of times, was what I was trying to say. So again, these are going to be the sleeves. And this is the front and that is the back. And just do some magic here and get some. So I don't think I've finished this completely, but I think this is actually 12 rows. I think I'm missing 2 here, so it would be a little bit bigger. But what you should have when you have made some more of these, so you'll just continue working round 2 a lot of times, and you'll get this. So as I said, it sort of radiates out. These become bigger here. So you will put this square, or maybe it's more of a sort of house shape. It's a pentagon. You'd put it out in front of you like this, and then you would take the 2 stitch markers over here, put them together, and the 2 stitch markers over here and put them together. So now you have something that looks as if we actually have a hole here for the head. We have some front here, and then these are going to be sleeves. Do not do this, or you can, you'll just get a different, then you will get the opening at the, what is this called? At your shoulder was what I was trying to say. Then you would get the opening here. Could be nice too, I guess. It's not what we're going for. So that was why I did the blue and the orange, because we want these 2 together and these 2 together. So what you can remember for the cardigan, you need the raw edges here to line up against each other. And you will have something that looks like this. So, there are 2 ways of doing this. I will show you both. So, you can take the stitch marker here and find the corresponding stitch marker here, and then you will just put it through. And then the one that's only holding 1 stitch, you just take that and throw it out. Or put it to the side, you don't have to throw it out. And then you know what stitch to crochet together, and on the other side we're just going to find the 2 stitches that go together. Yep. So I have my hook here, and I will go into the I will turn here, then I will chain 2, and I'll do 1 half double crochet in each stitch until I get to the first stitch marker. And at this point, this part is going to, it has become a little big. The rounds, or the rows, we really are working rows and not rounds. The rounds get, of course, whoops, bigger and bigger. The rounds get bigger and bigger, so this will just take a little. And the reason I chose the small hook was that this is actually quite quick to crochet, but for the sake of the mobility of the child wearing this, I do think that the thinner the fabric and the more sort of the more elastic it is, that the better it would be. So I don't want it to be too stiff. And the bigger your hook and the bigger your yarn, of course it's going to be stiffer. So now we're at the corner here, and we'll just go through both. So what I do to half double crochet something together is that I go into the stitch here, then I yarn over, then I go through and through. So on the front and on the back. And now you can take out your stitch marker if you don't like working in a stitch that has a stitch marker in it. Yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. So now we have crocheted this together. And we could continue on the sleeve if you wanted to. But I am just going to go to the other side, so I'll just leave all of this on the sleeve for later. And then I will continue working half double crochets to the other side. So just 1 half double crochet in each stitch until you get to this stitch marker. Okay, so now I am at the other side, and what has happened while I have been crocheting is that, of course, these two have this piece has been folded out, right? So what I want to show you is that you can as long as you are sure that it's folded the same way as the other one, so don't fold this here and then have the other one down here, or you will get sort of a Mobius strip thing, and no please. So you will, again, maybe the easiest thing is actually to look at it from the front and then just go raw edges together, and we have them on the same side and all of that. And then you can hold them together again. And you will go into the stitch on the front. So I'm yarning over again. Just show you if I can get my hook out. Here we are. So, yarn over. Then you go into the first stitch that has a stitch marker. That'll be the one in front. Then you go into the stitch on the back, which also has a stitch marker. Then you get the yarn and you go through. So now you have these 3 stitches, and you'll just yarn over again and go through all 3. And then you can remove these stitch markers. We don't need them anymore. We are done with the only thing on this sweater, which is really, it's not that challenging, but it may be a little bit different than anything you have tried before. So, but as soon as we are done with that, the sort of basic shape of the cardigan is done, and the rest is just crocheting back and forth. So I'll just finish the front here, and it's just one half double crochet in each stitch until we get to the end of the row. And I should also mention that, of course, if you're doing a different raglan increase, or if you're really good at seeing what is the 3, if you can just look at this and say, oh, that is the middle stitch, then it's probably not a problem. You probably don't need the stitch markers. I just find them really useful, and I don't have to use my brain while I am crocheting. I can just say, I'm going to crochet until I get to the first stitch marker, so instead of counting and all of that. So I'll just grab the last here so that I can show you. Oh, I'm never done using my stitch markers. I use them for everything. Especially if I travel. So on the train or something, it's just really nice to have a stitch marker on your live stitch while it's in your bag or something. Okay, so, but this is what we have. This is the top of the sweater. This is the neckline. This is the front. You have your sleeves now that have been sort of left for you. So you will work these later. But for now you have your thread down here, and you will just continue working chain 2, do 1 half double crochet in each stitch. Also in the last stitch we're also working in the chain 1 out here, so that we get a really nice straight edge. And then you will turn around, do the same back. So what we have here is, I think that is clear to you now, but I'll just show you anyway. This is the part that we have now. And then when you continue on, you will get this. And the next thing I will show you is that when you get down here, we have to do the ribbing. So I don't know if I will be finishing this actually, but I will do a couple of rows just so to get away from the yoke part, and then I will show you the ribbing at the bottom. Okay, so I made a few rows, and as you can see, you will just get more of the same down. It'll just be straight if you just work around. And I wanted to show you the last row. So we're going to do 2 rows of ribbing, which we will do by doing 1 half double crochet, and the next half double crochet we will do around the post of the previous half double crochet. Now if it's a double crochet, we will have more of a post. A half double crochet is in theory not bigger than a single crochet, so this will be tight, and that's what we want, so that's not a problem. But I will just show you a few more times. So this will be the complete repeat. We'll do a do 1 half double crochet normally, and then we will do 1 half double crochet around the post, so in front, that is, and we'll continue on with that. And I'll just come in a little closer and show you the around the post thing, if that should be something you have trouble with. So you can see this stitch has a stitch on top of it, so I don't want to work in that one, but I want to go in beside it and then up on the other side of this post. Then I'll grab my yarn, go out from in there, grab the yarn again, and then pull through all 3. So as you can see, that instantly creates a ripped kind of look. Now don't be very careful not to work in the stitch that is attached to this, because it's still available actually. we can double our stitches here very easily, but you want to work in the post here and then go to the next one and go on top of that and find the next stitch. Then again we have a front post half double crochet, so we go in here, go around it and go out on the other side, grab a piece of yarn, and then we'll go through all 3. So if you can do a half double crochet, you can do a half double crochet around the post. You just need to figure out where the post is. So you will continue doing that all the way. And I think I'll just stop here at the so just do it for this side of the front part, because going back is going to be a little bit different. Okay, so when working back, what you need to do is when it's pulled back, you just want to do a normal half double crochet. When it's pulled to the front, so if you look here at the front, you'll keep just switching it back and forth until you get it. When it's pulled to the front, we need to do a back post. So you go in through the back post, grab the yarn, go to the front, and then you will finish your half double crochet. Then this will sort of continue on. Just do that a couple more times. So the next one is going to be a normal one. Just 1 half double crochet into the next, as you have been doing. And then you will do a half double crochet around the back post. So, or back post half double crochet. So, yarn over. Find the stitch here on the back. Oops. Here, and then go around it. Grab the yarn, go to the other side, yarn over and go through all 3 on the hook. I hope you get the principle, even though this is a little bit wonky. So here I have 3 stitches, and then I'll go through them. 1 normal half double crochet, and again. Oh, maybe I'll show you this way. So I need to go into this stitch here. So I am yarning over, going in through that stitch, grabbing the yarn. Now I have 3 stitches, and I will yarn over and go through all 3. And yeah. It's a bit more challenging because you need to sort of look on the other side to get it, to get the stitch, to get the right stitch. But it's once you get it, it's not actually harder than doing a front post. And of course, if you don't want to have the ribbing, just leave it out. There's no... I think it looks nice, but it doesn't serve any other purpose than just being a nicer edge, I think, than just the than just the normal edge. So this is the last one. And then I'll do a half double crochet in the last here. And had I actually worked the entire row here, I would now have like a little cropped cardigan. Or if I had actually taken the time to crochet it all the way down, I would have finished the body of the cardigan. So now let's go on to making the sleeves. The only thing that is a little bit important when starting the sleeve is that you don't start up here and you don't start here, don't start here. You start at the armpit. That's because we want we are getting a little bit of a seam and we want that to be underneath the arm. So just for making it as pretty as possible, just start underneath here. So where we joined. Now we're just going to join a new piece of yarn and chain 2. Now we're going to do something that is a little bit strange, perhaps, but you see this pattern, right? This is sort of, it's sort of striped because we have been working back and forth. Now, if we start working in the round, we will get a different pattern, and it's, I think, a nicer pattern, but I would like this to be consistent. So I am actually going to work in rows. I'm going to work all the way around, then I'm going to finish my row, then I will chain 2, and then I will go back the other way. So that might be something that you don't want to do. That's completely fine. It might also be something that you want to do, but to get the result that I have, that is what I've been doing. So first we need to figure out what the next round would be, which way do we start working. And a good sort of rule of thumb is that when you're working in the round, you're always working against the arrows. So if you see all of these little V's and you consider them little arrows, when you're working in the round, you will also always be looking at the pointy part, and they will sort of be pointing this way, right? So if I had to work in the round, I would work this way. But I want it to look as if I have been working it back and forth. So I will be working with the row, with the arrows. And the arrows are pointing this way. So it's pretty easy. Just do one double crochet in each. No, still not double crochets. You'll do 1/2 double crochet in each stitch, all the way to the other side. And I'll just show you a little closer now, just the arrows, and then I'll finish it and come back. But these are the arrows. These I'm working this way. If I had been working from the other side, this would be what I would be looking at. Oh, I just caught myself doing that. You have a row of something that looks a little bit like stitches here, but it's the back. Every stitch has 3 lines of 3 strands of yarn. So this looked a little bit like I was going the wrong way and I got a little bit confused, but this is the actual end of this row and it is pointing this way on this side. But of course, if you flip it a little bit, you get arrows that are pointing the other way. But that is the back strand. So don't be confused about that, even though I am sometimes. It's also the it's actually the third row that you can see here. Every time you have sort of the very prominent row here, that is the third strand you can see all the way down. So now I'm at the beginning again here, and what I will do is I'll find the second chain on my chain 2 space here, and I'll just do a slip knot like that. So now I have finished the round, and I want to start the next one. So I chain 2, and I turn the work. So instead of working continually working this way, which would be with the clock, I guess, I am going to be working against the clock. And if you have put it down and you're now picking it back up, again, you can look at the top here and say, I want to work with the arrow, not against them, which is the top here. This is the top. I don't want to be working against the arrows. And yeah, you'll just do, again, just 1 half double crochet in each stitch all the way around. And you will continue doing this, just working around it, until you have the length that you want. I obviously chose shorter sleeves for mine, but you can make them as long as you want. And then you just do the ribbing to finish it off. And the ribbing is a little bit easier here because you can actually work in the round, and I will show you that next. Oh, and I can also show you what happens if you start out wrong, because I actually did the wrong thing when I started working my sleeves here. I actually started working in the wrong direction when I started this, and you can see how that turns out. So I have sort of an even stripe all the way until I get to where I started working my sleeves, where I have a double stripe. So if you want that, you can do that, but I would recommend you don't. It's not too visible, but it's, when you know it's there, it's a bit of an eyesore. So let me just finish this next row, and I'll come back and show you how to do this ribbing in the round instead. So this was the entire round, and I'm just going to slip stitch to finish it. And I think you'll be able to see the seam down here, which we don't want in... It's actually not that bad, but we still don't want it somewhere else where it might be visible. So to do the ribbing, it's really easy, and it's the same row every time. So it's actually just the same row as the first row we did at the bottom. So a half double crochet. Now I'm working against the... That doesn't matter. It won't show up. I did make a mistake, however. So as you can see now, I actually instructed you to start on the front here, and of course that is the same for the ribbing. So this doesn't look like ribbing, and this is my front, so I will just frog back here. And of course, when you need to choose a direction to work it so that you're looking at the outside. And I'm going to try and take my own advice now and do the same. So 1 normal half double crochet, and then a front post. So here we are. Then a normal and a front post. And if you're doing this on the front, you'll get a very nice transition from the only half double crochets to the ribbing. I hope it's okay that I show you all of my mistakes. I think sometimes it's a little easier to see someone do it wrong than to actually just look at people doing things correctly. Especially if they correct their mistakes, right? So this is the front, and this looks like ribbing. So I'll just continue working this all the way around, and then I'll come back and show you how the next row is worked on top of this, so that it becomes as wide as the bottom down here. I should also mention that if you want it to be longer, you just continue working back and forth here in the same way. So on the front, you do the normal, then the front post, normal, front post, and so on. And then when you go back, you do normal, a back post, a normal, a back post, and so on, until you have the length of ribbing that you want. Okay, so now I've finished a sleeve. So I will again chain 2. I'm still staying on the front of the fabric, so I am looking at my outside here. So if you flip this, then the other side is the outside, but now I have just chosen that this is my outside. So what I want to do is every time I have a depression in my ribbing, I will do a normal again. That was how I got the depression in the first place. Or it's pulled back, that's what I mean. And every time I have one that is raised, I will go in and do a front post, half double crochet. So, as I said, it's completely the same as the first row. You just have to, should you have shifted, so that you don't start off with a half double crochet. I'm not completely sure how that would happen, but if it happened to you, just look at what you've got and always remember to do the front post into a front post and a normal half double crochet into a normal half double crochet. That way you will get the lines. And just like with the bottom, you can work this as long as you want. I think two rows were fine for me, but you can of course do as many as you like. So that's it. Hopefully these two match up. They look alike. And when you do that, you should have something that looks like this. So the last part of this is showing you how to do the buttonhole thingy, or the the thing that the button goes into, which is not actually a hole in this case, but I will show you that as the last thing that I do in this video. Okay, so in order to finish this, we're actually going to go in here at the left side, I think. And I'll just chain one, and then I will do one single crochet all the way up. So basically I worked very hard to get a somewhat even edge here, so that my single crochets will look nice when they go on here. And of course your sweater would be longer, so you would have a longer way to go up here. I don't know why I'm bothering tucking in the tail. It's just habit, I guess. It's best if you can go in through the stitch rather than around it. Then the hole left by it will be smaller. And the reason I wanted to show you, rather than just tell you to do a single crochet all the way around the edge, is that when we get up here to the corner, something here went completely wrong. I think this might be my beginning. Yeah, it is. It was just pulled really tight. So when I get up here to the corner, in order to switch from here to the neckline, I want to do 3 single crochet in one spot. There's not really any stitches here, but in order to turn, I just want to do a little more here. And then I will work all the way around the neckline. Okay, so here I am on the other side, and again I am going to do three single crochet into the same space in order to turn. So here we are. Now I'll just go a little bit down here, and then I will do the first buttonhole, and I do that by chaining 10. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then I am doing a slip stitch into the beginning down here. And then I am turning. Just to make it a little bit neater, I am just going to do 12 single crochet around the chain. So I'm not going into the stitches, I'm just doing it around here. So that was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whoops, 11, and 12. And then I am just slip stitching into the same space as I did before. And that leaves me with this little tag thingy that I can use to close the cardigan. And I'll just try and find myself here. So here we are. Then I will just do single crochets down to the point where I want the next button to be. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again next Friday.